what's the problem with IVF then? Because it sounds like you're saying, okay, the problem with contraception...
Let's just define IVF for people who may not know in vitro fertilization.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They might not know IVF.
Sure. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, because it sounds like I can see someone saying, "Oh, the Catholics are super into babies, right?"
Yeah,
and so that's why they're against contraception. Because if you have contraception, then babies don't result. So, okay, what's the problem with IVF then? I mean, you got a couple, they love each other, they want a baby, they're going to be good
wrong
parents,
with this? Right?
And now you're saying we got this technological advancement, right? It's apparently doing, to quote you, of course, I'm playing devil's advocate, to quote you that medicine should seek to aid the body. Well, there's a deficiency here. They want to bring a baby in lovingly, and now you're telling them they can't. It just sounds like the Catholic Church is against all medical progress.
Yeah. Only that which substitutes the sexual act for the origin of the life is the Church opposed to. If medicine and technology can aid the marital act in achieving its natural end, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Viagra,
ovulation pills.
Yep.
You can even have a certain, put a woman on a certain diet that will improve the lubrication that allows the sperm to get to the egg. Mm-hmm. There are all number of things that can be done to aid the marital act in achieving its natural end. But if we replace the marital act itself as the means by which the child is conceived, now we have the flip side of contraception. I'll explain that in a moment, but I want to just say this. Notice how beautifully, logically, and rightly consistent the church is in her teaching. And the teaching is this: sex and babies go together, right? If you want to frame for understanding the whole thing, marriage, sex, babies go together, and in that order. Contraception says, I want the sex without the babies. Conceiving a child in a test tube says, I want the babies without the sex. It's the flip side of contraception. And tragically, we end up reducing that person conceived in the petri dish to a product we've paid for, rather than receiving that child lovingly from God through the marital act.
And not to mention what we do to the poor woman who we just asked to be the incubator.
If that's the route that the couple goes, yes.
But isn't that the only route?
No. The child can be implanted in the actual biological mother.
Oh, sure. I'm immediately thinking of homosexuals using IVF.
Yes,
that's why I thought of that. But that's a good point. Yep.
Yes. So the point here, and I think anybody and everybody can recognize this, the desire for a child is beautiful. But that does not justify any means to get a child.
And we don't have a right to a child.
We don't. What a married couple has a right to is the marital act.
Yeah.
They do not have a right to demand a child from the hand of God. Anybody can recognize the desire for a child is beautiful. But that does not justify you kidnapping somebody else's child.
Right.
The end does not justify the means.
Even kidnapping a child from a subpar family, let's say.
Right. And the purpose here is not to draw a parallel between IVF and kidnapping.
Sure.
But just to demonstrate, we can all recognize there are means to acquiring a child that are not justified by the end.
Right. And then we're saying this is one of them.
And we're saying this is the church's invitation. Ponder this. To separate babies from sex is the flip side of separating sex from babies. It grows naturally out of a contraceptive mentality. And this is fascinating historically. Do you know the birth date of the first child conceived by in vitro?
No. Is it something to do with Humana Vitae?
July 25th, 1978, the 10th anniversary of Humana Vitae, was the birthday of the first child conceived by in vitro fertilization. If that's not a heaven just going, hello, there's a connection here with contraception. What the church is opposed to is any medicine and technology that replaces the sexual act as the means by which the child is conceived. God designed every child. Put it this way. If we're going to be talking about rights here, the rights we have to consider are especially the rights of the child. And every child, this is the church's teaching, every human being has the right to be conceived through the loving marital embrace of his or her parents. We know children can be conceived by all kinds of other acts, an act of rape, an act of fornication, an act of adultery, an unloving act by people who are married, in vitro fertilization. Are these children loved by God? Absolutely. Are they desired by God? Absolutely. They would not exist if God did not desire them to exist.
Yeah.
But the fact that that child was not conceived by the loving marital embrace of his parents will always remain an injustice to that child. So again, if we're to consider rights here, we must consider the right of the child first. The parents have a right to the marital act. They do not have a right to replace the marital act with something else, to demand a child from the hand of God.
I got to tell you guys about my new favorite app. It's called Ascension, and it's by Ascension Press. This is the #1 Bible study app, in my opinion. And you can go to ascensionpress.com/Fradd. Go there, and so that way they know that we sent you. It is absolutely fantastic. It has the entire Bible there, very well laid out. The whole Bible is read to you by Father Mike Schmitz, or just sections of the Bible. It has the catechism there. It's cross-referenced absolutely beautifully. It's really actually quite difficult to explain to you how good this is. Just download it and check it out for yourself. It even has over 1,600 frequently asked questions about Scripture. So if you go to Genesis 1, you might have a question about evolution. Well, there's a drop-down right there. You can read an article that'll help you understand it. I went through it with the guys at Ascension the other day, and my jaw was just, it was dropped. It was absolutely amazing. It's had tens of thousands of 5-star reviews. Again, go to ascensionpress.com/Fradd. It also has all of their amazing Bible studies. So I remember back in the day, I had a big DVD case of Jeff Caven's Bible studies. Well, it's all there on the app. So go download it right now. Please go to ascensionpress.com/Fradd.